myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters, the three Amigos. It's a pre-recorded show tonight, so please welcome Mitch, Steve Hasty, Keith Patterson and Stu. We've got Stu on tonight. How are you, lads? All good?
Yeah, all good.
Good.
Well, great stuff. 90 minutes we're doing tonight, so we'll have all your usual favourites. And I thought we'd look back, Mitch, first of all, just at end of the first part of the season and just your views on how Newcastle have played, you know, what they've achieved, what's impressed you, who's impressed you. Just a review, because now we've got this 4-week break for the World Cup.
If you'd said to me at the start of the season we'll be third at the Christmas break ahead of the World Cup, I would have said it was unlikely at best. Because my concern was the form we put together over the sort of calendar year. You've got to say, well, do we have it in to keep that momentum going forward? And the answer is an absolute, resolute yes. And that's what's impressed us the most. It's the togetherness, it's the spirit, it's the will, the desire to drive on and keep driving on. We've excelled. We've got a back four and a goalkeeper keeping unit now that is the envy of the Premier League, and whoever would have thought that being said about Newcastle United team ever. We'll have an absolute amazing combination of Gale and work rate in the midfield. And we've got forwards that defend from the front and leave it all on the pitch. There's nobody leaves anything on the pitch. It's all given every game. We've shown that one just not to be messed with in any way, shape or form. And I think it's that amongst everything else that I love. And it's now sort of becoming something that we as a fan base are feeding off. And that feeds the team more. And they feed us more. And it's that sort of, instead of the negative spiral that we've had in the past where turning up out of loyalty and we sort of almost drag ourselves in. Now everybody's bouncing, wants to be part of it, is looking forward to it. And personally, I kind of wait to get this World Cup over and roll the next bit of the season on.
Yeah, Steve, it has been, just enjoyable. I think that's the word, isn't it?
Yeah, and you got to repeat what Mitch said about defensively. You know, I mean, we look back the first game of the season against Forest, and they were always, we thought, going to be up for it. You know, coming back into the Premiership, and basically we rolled them. But after that, we didn't. Although we played well. And we weren't conceding goals. We're doing okay. We didn't get the rub of the green in the early phase of the season, which is quite surprising now when you see where we are and you look at the points that were dropped. Various situations that occurred. I mean, the 0-0 at Brighton, for example, in the second game, and then there was a draw against Man City where I think that was the game where we thought, you know what, we can perform. This team can perform. This team can fight. This team can get stuck in. They can press the way that we were hoping they would. But then there was the great comeback against Wolves. There was the situation at Liverpool, and again, I think that was another result. Even though it didn't go our way, that was Isak's debut. And we just thought, you know what? Wow, how well had they played, and what did they deserve? But from that moment on, they just seem to have clicked. The defence is so solid. And if I remember rightly, at a certain point roundabout there, we were saying we've got to start to get goals from midfield. You know, we were struggling for a striker. Isak was injured. We didn't have Wilson there. We didn't think Wood could be the man who would get with the goals. He could play well, but he might not get us the goals. But we were looking at the midfield, and all of a sudden the midfield just went bow, 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 and all just hammering in for fun. And it was the cohesion, that it was the wonderful interplay that we've seen, and it's just carried on. And I mean, Saturday's performance, I think, just basically summed up what we know about Newcastle United now, and what we've come to believe. And I'm worried that it's going to be what we've come to expect as well, because there will be hiccups on the road as the season goes on. But and never in my wildest dreams did I think we'll be going into the World Cup break and we'll be sitting in third place.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it, Stu? Third place, and you know you've got your little phrase. I'll go on, say it again.
Good evening from the Champions League places. It's very good, but
go on, mate. No, go for it.
So I was going to take it back a little further than just this season, because there was something that stuck in my mind a little over a year ago, and it was the 30th. I've done a little bit of research on it. It was the 30th of October last year, and it was our second home game since the takeover. We played Chelsea, and we had a 3-0, and it can only be described as a meek surrender. And those at the time were then the reigning champions of Europe. But if you fast forward a little over 1 year, and with 7 more games played, we've only lost once. At that stage, we hadn't won at all. We've only lost once. So if you match them up, the progress we've made so far, not just this season, but as Mitch just referred to there, the back end of last season, we would have been delighted if that progress had taken place over 3 years, 3 seasons, let alone just over half a season. So another thing, we're one New Year's Eve game away from having the best home record in the entire league for the calendar year.
Yeah,
because would have lost once if we don't get beat off Leeds. Every other team's lost it more than once in the calendar year. So the way I see it is, Newcastle, when the takeover happened, they were just a little snowball, and it's just developed into this massive avalanche, and it's becoming an unstoppable force. And it's great now that we're firmly embedded within the top 6. So these dirty 6 trying to get the European Super League, they would make a fool of themselves, wouldn't it? We're the best 6 teams. Well, hang on, who's that team they call United, as the song goes? You know, and we're right there. And they can't say that they're better than us when we're outperforming them. We've played 5 of them, and all bar a referee in, let's just say, a favour, then we would have been unbeaten against every single one of them. So their nightmare is already a reality. And you just watch them cut each other's throats now, because they'll start reaching out in Newcastle, because they realise that we are there and we're going to be there for a long, long time. So they will start cutting each other's throats, and they'll be scrapping for that 6th place. Not one of them will want to finish outside the European spots now, but one of them has to, is if we force our way in, which it looks increasingly by the game we will. So it's not just this season, but I think the turning point this season, with you mentioned it yourself, Steve, there was a couple of incidents where Wilson's goal disallowed against Brighton, you've seen them given. You've seen the Longstaff penalty appeal at Wolves. You know, there's so many of those at the time when we were all crying conspiracy, weren't we? But I think Eddie House just drilled into them all, is the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I don't think I've ever seen a team play and work as hard as what Newcastle United are. And that's not including just the Newcastle teams I've watched. I'm talking about any team. They're all, to a man, will give absolutely everything. But something that we mentioned on the professionals on Sunday, they're really well drilled. They know the rules and they don't want to give up their place. You know, they feel it themselves. It's a special place to be playing football at the moment, and they don't want to be jettisoned out come January or June or July. They want to be here next season, the season after. They want to be there when that parade brings trophies over to us. And it's just amazing to just be experiencing it.
Keith, your take on this, first part of the season? Is it every bit as good as you hoped it would be, and a little bit more?
It's been more. I mean, I remember when we started here at the start of the season, and some people thought I was optimistic, saying I thought we'd finish 5th. That was my pick, and that was high. You know, that was the highest I think someone shouted. And now I think we'll finish above 5th. And you know, I'm not bothered. People shoot me down. I mean, I just all I say is what I think and what I see. But I think this side will definitely finish top 4 this year. And next year, the sky's really the limit. So when I look at the team, I think the biggest thing I've noticed is the difference that Eddie Howe's getting out to the players. And I was going through them there just when you were talking. I was thinking, you know, what has he done with them? When you look at Shah, He's just made a mountain out, that man. You look at Trippier, I mean, he's world class. You know, he might be talking to someone today and say he might be the best fullback we've ever had. Burn, he's like got this killer instinct. It's like just rid of pride. And Wilson's become more effective. Like somebody said earlier, one of the lads said, you know, we always knew Wilson was a good player, but we didn't know whether he'd get us all the goals we needed. And he seems just so effective and such a deadly finisher. And yeah, we all said we needed another striker to back him up. But Christ, you know, we're begging him back from the World Cup uninjured. You know, that's the effect he makes on his team. But Longstaff's come of age. Miggy's just become world class. You know, Miggy's become, according to reports, in the top 5 players in the Premier League. And who would have thought that a year ago? So I don't think any of us could have seen how it played out. We were just optimistic. And to me, where the turning point for me was Arsenal at home last season. You know, that game later on where they had to win it to win to get in the Champions League. And they never got close. You know, Newcastle battered them and bullied them. And the fans just took it on. And so for me, you know, it started then. When did I think the turning point came at Newcastle? Going back last season, I think it was Leeds away. I think it would be Leeds away. I thought we could definitely stop. That was the day I was jumping around like you know, someone possessed, because that was the day in my optimism seemed as though it was going to go places. But then you look at Pope, you know, he's probably, you know, someone was asking the day, you look at Givens and people like that, Pavels and all them, he might be the best keeper we've ever had. You just don't know, you know what I mean? But he's up there and he gives you a level of confidence I haven't had for years and years and years in goal. And then Botman, you know, he's a colossus. And he could become one of the best centre-halves in the country. And for me, I would like us to buy another centre-half to go, you know, like the right-side centre-back that's 21, 22-year-old to nurture behind Shah. But, you know, turning point last season was Leeds. Turning point this season, I didn't realise, but I think it was Liverpool away when we were playing Liverpool and we were blatantly robbed. And we a little bit, well, if we were naive, maybe we were naive when we beat City, that we couldn't hold out. But it is City, it is, you know, Haaland. But I think Liverpool, you know, like now, Chelsea game, if that had been Liverpool, would have held on. You know, would have definitely got a draw. We knew we were robbed of VAR. But the day when I felt the turn was when I was travelling down to Tottenham. And I was telling everyone, we'll win this, we'll win it. And when we went to Tottenham, we battered them. You know what I mean? I mean, we were loose in the first few minutes. And then we just, after that, we were never going to get beat. So for me, it's, and when I watch the team, the difference I notice now is I just notice that we bully, we press, and ultimately it's characterised into something called turnovers, which I don't think I understood fully the relevance of turnovers, but I've never seen a side win a ball back as quick as Newcastle do. Whenever we haven't got the ball, we get it back really quick. And when we haven't got the ball, I don't worry. You know, you must all have panicked in the past, thought, shit, you know, maybe we're up again here. But I didn't worry at all, you know, against all these top teams. And I think we should have beat Man United. I think we should have beat Man City, and I think we should have beat Liverpool. And I think, you know, we comfortably knocked Chelsea. But even then, there was a crazy VAR decision against Chelsea on Saturday. If Willock hadn't scored from such distance, you know, would we have got a draw against that team? So I think there's a lot to come yet. I think there's some more dodgy VAR decisions to come. I think there's new players to come in. And I think Newcastle will finish top 4. And you know, I wouldn't back on finishing 4th any more than finishing 2nd. Honestly, we've got a lot of fight in the bellies yet. So it's just great stuff.
Yep, certainly is. Okay, slightly shorter show, so we'll do the day I met now. The day I met, where I asked you to send in photographs of you meeting people who have been involved with the club, both past and present. And this week, JH Executive Travel on Twitter says, tonight I met the legend that is Kevin Keegan. I got his autograph, which cost a pretty penny for charity. And also the Sky Sports News legend, Pete Graves, who's a thoroughly top bloke. Can this go on the day I met, please, Steve Wraith? Well, there you go. Looks like a good night was had by all. And yeah, great to see Kevin doing quite a few talkings over the last few months up in the Northeast, certainly getting a feel for it again. But if you've got a photograph and you want to share it, send them over to me and I'll get them on the show. Fan engagement, something we've spoken about on here quite a lot, is in the news again. Newcastle United had a meeting with some supporters, and that included the Supporters Trust. What really did come up on the agenda, reading through the NUFC minutes, was obviously they met up with Darren Eales, who was the point of contact for Newcastle United, and essentially tickets were mentioned again. It's something we've spoken about on the show before. The ticket system, the loyalty system, you know, and of course the other things that were thrown around with the match day experience. Equality, diversity, inclusion, but the ticket policy is what I want to speak about, Mitch. It's just this whole loyalty point system. What appears to have come out of that meeting was that fans, the majority of fans, think it is the fairest way of allocating tickets, but a lot of people were concerned that the system's too easily exploited, where tickets are passed on to those people who haven't got season tickets or membership. Are you ever going to be able to stop that, Mitch, do you think?
No, and you're never going to find a perfect system. I think Steve would probably agree with I on this, and we've batted this around for many, many years. There's no perfect way to do it. There's no ideal way to do it at all. There are tweaks you could make to it, and I think the loyalty point system, the one good thing about that, everybody understands it. It's very easy to understand. And you do need something that's easy to understand. You do not need to be considering, do I have to solve a Rubik's Cube and do a CSE maths before I apply for my ticket about whether I'm going to get one or not? Because if you make it too complicated, it's ridiculous, and that pisses people off even more. I think there are tweaks that could be made. I think other clubs limit the loyalty points by using them in a certain window, which may or may not be fair on historical season ticket holders like myself. You know, I've still got a significant bunch of loyalty points on my season ticket in my name, and could still get to probably 70% of the games if I really wanted to. What I don't do is let people use that and keep the numbers racking up. I think that's unfair, and that's why I don't do it. I think there are a lot of situations like that where that's how it can be exploited, and that's how then tickets get passed on to different people. Is it fair? Not particularly. I don't think so, and that's why I don't do it. But I don't think you'll ever find an absolutely ideal way of doing it. I've heard it suggested that a percentage will be taken back for a lottery style draw for everybody else to keep people who are relative newcomers, and this is something which is going to cause problems within the fan base as well, is that people who are new to Newcastle United will want to go to away games and will want to do all sorts. And should there be a way to allow those people to do that? It's a tough one. It's a really tough one. I think my attitude to that has changed significantly since becoming an expat. I think I mentioned it on one of the other shows, that I really wish I'd got into the expat mindset more when I was chair of the trust. Wish I'd got to understand it more. I think I understand it quite well now. But I think you're never going to find a perfect system. There's always going to be something to pick fault at. I think within our fan base, there will always be things that certain individuals will constantly want to look for faults, and their glass, due to Ashley Stockholm syndrome, will be constantly half empty. And I think we should always try and from now on be looking to the half full. And I think, as I say, the one thing about loyalty points is everybody understands it, and it's reasonably fair. And I think there are tweaks that could be made to make it fairer, perhaps. But there's no easy way around it. There just isn't.
No, Steve, I mean, it's common practice. You know, we see tickets getting passed around and, you know, but we've all done it ourselves, I guess. You know, somebody can't go to the game and you want your ticket, I guess, to go to somebody who, you know, wants to go and who can pay you the money. But we do see a lot of scamming going on as well. And, you know, a lot of people who buy tickets online, you know, or take a gamble buying it off a stranger on social media and then they lose their money. So you've got to err on the side of caution. But getting back to the club, you know, is Mitch right? We'll never really solve this issue.
Yes, I think he is. I think it's a political hot potato in football politics, in fan politics. You know, what is loyalty? How do you repay loyalty? What do you get for your loyalty? Am I more loyal because I've gone to every away game since 1972? Does that make me more loyal or a better fan? All of these, the conversations just drift on and on. The big issue arose when we went to all-seater. Prior to that, you just went, you got a ticket, you couldn't give a monkey's about who you were standing next to, or whatever, because you end up stood next to your mates anyway. As soon as it became all-seater, it started to bring in an element of complexity to buying the tickets. The complexity exacerbated when not only did you want to go with a couple of friends, but then you wanted to go with everybody and stand with everybody in a certain part of an away ground. Everybody was on your bus. So then it became friends and family, and then it became an even bigger thing. So now you have this situation where people, the book tickets, they come together. They've got all of the tickets grouped, so they're in a group, if you like. So it's not just the friends and family, but you can be in a group situation. And so they order the tickets together. So that becomes a complexity all of its own. And that's something that the IT system allowed to happen. It then becomes an issue when somebody in that group isn't going to the game. So then their ticket becomes spare. What happens to that ticket? You know, invariably it's like a block booking of tickets, so everybody takes the booking whether they want to go or not, because they know if they don't go, somebody will fill the seat on the bus, which means that the ticket will be used, but you've still got your loyalty point because all the tickets go to one address and all. This is where it suddenly starts to break down. And I listened to some really hardened, I'm not call them loyal because I don't want to insult them. It's not the word to use, but some real hardened away travellers who know all the system. They know it inside out. You know, we've sat at fan forums meeting many, many times and talked about it. I can guarantee the same issues that would have been talked about at last week's meeting would be the ones we're talking about in 2019, the last time the club had a meeting specifically about tickets. And at every fans forum from 2019 going all the way back to 2012, it was raised continuously. The whole matter of tickets, the whole matter of loyalty points. Somebody would join the fans forum and they would come up with a new idea, and it would be discussed for 20 minutes, and then it would get pounced on, and you know, all this type of thing. Should we do this? What about that? What if we made it 3 points? What if it was 1? What if you kept 1 point? You got 3 points, but you kept 1 if you returned the ticket because you couldn't go and made it available. At least you are getting a loyalty point. And it just blows your mind. Honestly, it's crazy. It'll never be resolved. You cannot get that utopia of away tickets. It doesn't exist. The utopia that everyone is satisfied. It will never happen. Leave it to the club. Leave it to them to decide. You know what they want to do. They'll probably get it wrong in the eyes of 50%, and they'll get it right in the eyes of the other 50%. Thank God it's not our problem.
Yeah, Stu, it is just so difficult, isn't it? And the demand for tickets has increased dramatically because of how well the team are doing, the new ownership, etc. And it just makes it more and more difficult, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. A successful Newcastle United is always going to create more demand for tickets, isn't it? But I was thinking, like, when I was going to the away games, we didn't have these problems with internets and stuff like that. You queued up for tickets, or you rang up and you got them, and it was done on a first come, first served basis. But you can't offer that now, because 2 years ago, this issue wouldn't have been as important, because, I see it from afar, where you have like X amount of loyalty points, and then it goes down to like from 100 to 70 to 60 to 50 to season ticket holders to general public. Now that's never going to happen. So you could be isolating a new generation of fans who want to go, but you're also then punishing people who have been going. And people support Newcastle through thick and thin. And I'm of the belief the ones who support us when we're thin should get the benefit when we're thick, if we talk about terms of success. But any system that the club try and do will be flawed, because you can't please everyone all of the time. And it's not just a successful Newcastle, a successful Leeds, or a successful Sunderland. It seems like we haven't had success for a long, long time. It would create the same issues. And all we can do is, you've got Darren Eales, who at least is engaging with the trust. He's engaging with other fans forums, and he's trying to find a solution. But that's one thing I think I don't envy his role at all, of trying to find a solution for that, because I don't think he ever will. As Mr. Hastings just said there, he could please 90% of the people, but the 10% will then become a problem. And it's if we just say, right, the season tickets now, I'd love to go back when I come back and go to all the away games, but I have to accept it's very, very unlikely that I'd get a chance to do so. And in my opinion, rightly so, the people who do go every single away game, or the majority of the away games, should get priority. But then you have people who will complain, well, just because they have more money, they can get to more away games. It doesn't make them better support than me. If I had the money, I'd go to the away games. And there's always an argument for and an argument against. And that's unfortunately the world that we're living in at the moment. So the more you try to please people, the more people get annoyed with it as well. So sometimes you can't please everyone. And if you keep trying to please the same people, they still find something to complain about. And us as a fan base, I think it was Mitch that said it, we're just going to have to run with what the club decide is the best way forward. And at least the listening, at least the taking fans' opinions on board. And whatever decision they come to, it might not suit an individual or a certain group, but that's their opinion and it's their club, and they'll believe that's their decision to please the vast majority of people. And I guess I really don't envy them when it comes to it, but my opinion, the more games you go to, the more chance you should get to go to the next one. If you're going to go to like Mansfield away on a Tuesday, for example, like I did, I should get first choice when it comes to going to Anfield. Some people just pick and choose the games, but give the ones who do put the miles in, they should always get priority, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. Keith, what's your take on the ticket situation?
Steve Hasty summed it up for me. Utopia doesn't exist. I don't think it ever will. You'll never keep everybody happy, no matter what you do. Every system's being tried. If it was a system that would work, every club would employ it. It would just be called, the BZ system, and they'll just all queue into that. But they don't. Every club has difficulties. Everybody knows that people, like, if somebody's been going for years and years and built up the points, obviously they're entitled by loyalty to be able to buy a ticket. But everybody knows that a lot of people apply week in, week out, and just sell them tickets to keep their points up. You know what I mean? And don't necessarily go to all the games. That's their prerogative. They've been doing that through the bad times. So, I think they have every entitlement. But I was talking to Steve Hasty a week ago, and there was 20 plus people invited to the ground free of charge, and then they were given 20 plus tickets for the director's box, and even they complained. They complained because they were getting split up in the director's box. So straight away, if you're getting into the ground for now, and all of a sudden you get some director's box tickets for now, albeit it was a cup game, and then you're not happy because you're getting split up. I mean, honestly, different planet to me. You know what I mean? You've got no loyalty tickets or anything. You're getting into the ground every week, and now you go to the director's box, and now you're disappointed you're not sat with your mate. I mean, that to me epitomises why you'll never get people satisfied. Because how can you complain if you get the free director's box ticket? Where it is, you go in, you take one, and for me, My advice would be just keep going, get a ticket where you can, enjoy it, and don't worry about it. But then this week, I saw the results or saw some of the comments in the press about the meetings with Darren Eales. And as I understood it, I was just a fan, and I understood that what they were thinking about selling the ground name for was to be able to compete. So we'll sell the name of the stadium, Aramco at St James or whatever. And if they do that, they better compete. The next thing I saw during the fans meetings, one of the spokesmen said, but they've got to give some discount on tickets. Well, does that not conflict with exactly what you're doing it for? You're doing it to compete. So you need the money. But if you're saying, well, we'll only sell it out, but we all want cheap tickets, then maybe there's no point in selling it because you're going to give them a little back away discount. So I didn't follow that. And each fan will have his own different mindset on it. But maybe there's parts where it wasn't explained. But it's a very, very, very sensitive area. And for me, one best ignored and left to the club.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, as always, we have an action-packed show on a Friday night, and we're going to go in with the tweet of the week now. We only had a couple of days to prepare, but Zara hasn't let us down. Just sent us some absolute classics. Newcastle Fans TV, decision rattled. Very, very good. That was after Simon Johnson had put Newcastle players are doing a lap of honour. Is it the final game of the season? Yeah, they're definitely rattled, these other teams. Ian Smith, sod off back to West London, you bunch of whiny babies. I think that pretty much covers everything that we wanted to say to Chelsea as they left the ground. Nicola, Newcastle United will never be defeated. Lots of positivity on the timeline after that 1-0 win against Chelsea. Anthony Deck might be in the jungle, but they're still keeping up to date with what's going on at Newcastle United. Great to see the lads back on TV. And you don't even have to like I'm a Celebrity. Just the script writing is absolutely brilliant. Lots of laughs. Andy Dawson, another disappointing day for Graham Potter. I'd very like him that. I could have been lookalikey, but it was submitted for tweet of the week. Stick that up your hoop, you absolute rage and cry and cheat, says Natasha. Vindication. Some good stuff on Twitter this weekend. Footy accumulators. One positive for Man United fans is they can finally stop pretending that Ronaldo is better than Messi. Welcome to the light. And this one from Bryn. Wish Dan Burn was on Twitter so I could spend the whole night telling him how much I love him. He should be going to the World Cup. Nick Pope got onto Twitter and look what happened there. Maybe Dan Burn will follow him. Last time I helped Mark when he asks for a pencil, says Connor. Yeah, I was slow on the uptake when I read that one originally. Newcastle have kept 7 clean sheets in the Premier League this season and no team has conceded fewer goals. Quite amazing that. The stats just keep coming, don't they? And a picture of a brick wall, which is quite apt. And this one from Mark. Final thoughts. Jorginho is a whinging bastard and Kai Havertz has got a face you'd love to punch. Little goofy cry-arse. Chelsea are shit. Night. That's one of them when you've had about 10 pints and you think, shouldn't I tweet? Yeah, let's tweet.
Just put it out there.
And that's the result, yeah. Foxy, a brief sample of those who have more Premier League minutes on the pitch than Calvin Phillips.
That's true.
Very, very good. This one from Anth. I'm not having it. That there's 7 better Dutch defenders than Sven Botman. Absolute travesty. He's not going to the World Cup. Yeah, I've got to be honest. I'm glad he's not though. For selfish Newcastle United reasons. Yep. Toon Pools, Chelsea absolutely lost their heads at the end, didn't they? And Eddie Howe's piss-boiling mags was his way of describing them. The beer was definitely flowing Saturday night. New York Magpie, this is the new reality. We can compete with any team. All those years of caution and defensive play was nightmarish in hindsight. Yeah, very, very, very true that. Gary Boyd, how's Conor Gallagher in the England squad, he says. I'd rather take Liam or Noel.
Like that one.
James, Zora's better half. The good news is Luca is up for his metro at McDonald's Airport. Kmart excursion today. The bad news is he wants to go at 11 a.m., but the 5:30 kickoff will miss the pre-match NUFC. Beer drinkers as if, said
No
James.
chance.
Not a
Hope,
chance.
hope the family are well, mate. And this one, deck the halls. On the one hand, World Cup break comes as we are flying and full of confidence. On the other hand, our last trip to Saudi made us at least 60% better immediately. Everyone should be shitting themselves. Very true, Si. Very true. And Kieran Maguire, Graham Potter increasingly looks like a sociology teacher who has left his wife for someone half his age. And he's desperately trying to look cool to impress a new partner, but knows deep inside that it's all going horribly wrong. Definitely looks a lot different there. Pete Graves, it's absolutely fine for middle-aged men to weep once a while anyway. Yeah, I think that's just the joy, I guess, of following the football team at the minute, Pete. Joe Linton on his famous NUFC chant. It's nice. It's lovely. It gives me more energy and confidence to keep running those extra miles. I try to give my best for the fans. I sometimes sing it in the shower. Lots of people thinking about that, I think, now. Miles Starforth, Eddie Howe on BBC Match of the Day. We just edged it in terms of getting a goal. We're indebted to Nick Pope with his save, but Joe Willock produced a moment of magic for us. Spoilers, man. Miles said Zara. And this one, Scarred for Life. Liverpool have been approached by Mukesh Ambani, the 8th richest man in the world, with a takeover bid. He's worth 90 billion. Loose change, said Scarred for Life. Coming to the last few, John says, I've seen the footage of the fireworks being set off outside the hotel where Chelsea are staying. I think we can all safely say it was Jason Tyndall. And KP Parsons, he says, love this photo. Charbor of the North, Dan Burn giving it 6 and out. Bruno watching on nervously, and the fact that he knows how hard Dan Burn is. Shaw just was smiling away thinking, who do you think you are? The team. If you hate Newcastle, have a go. And yeah, that was the moment of the game. That really was. Premier League clubs forms. Get yourself down to Chelsea at the bottom. Very good. That was from Troll Football. And Lee Ryder says, drink it in, Newcastle fans. You've waited a long time for nights like this, and we certainly have. Okay, top 4. Just got our Christmas tree from IKEA. It's going to be a long night, says Rocky 2.
Yeah, very good.
A few of them doing the rounds at the minute. Coming in at number 3, great unfortunate ad placements of our time. Man plunges to his death, and you can see the bottom.
I've seen it.
The copy editor got sacked the next morning for that one. This might possibly be the funniest cloud picture I've ever seen. Thanks to Mark Byers for that one. And it is getting a bit chilly outside, ladies and gents. And just a reminder, only 3 things that don't get cold in winter: polar bears, penguins, and northern lasses. Thanks for sharing that one this week.
There's a story behind that. There's a story behind that picture.
Go on.
And another guy who was the photo editor for the paper that put it in, I think it was the Mail at the time. And he actually had to airbrush knickers on one of the girls before they could publish it.
Classic. Absolute classic. Thanks for sharing that. Brilliant stuff. Keep your tweets coming. We'll feature them again next week. Now, as we're pre-recording this show, the announcement today from Newcastle United was we've got another sponsorship deal. Peter Silverson's first one, Mitch. Monster Energy comes in as official drink sponsor. Yeah, he's got to work at last, and yeah, you know, we saw Saudi Airlines, of course, having some kind of promotional photo shoot done, you know, in and around the city. One would imagine that we're going to see a little bit more coming in over the next few months.
And this is exactly what he was brought in to do. All these partnerships make a big difference. The Monster one is, you've got to remember, they've got the weight of Coca-Cola behind. That's who owns Monster, and therefore, when they want presence in sport, the way that Red Bull have presence in sport, and so it all adds up and makes sense. And all of these deals go towards FFP, and so it's the perfect kind of setup. We're gonna get a number of them. You know, you've got to remember to exploit as many of these partnerships as possible if you want to make the numbers come in. That's why Man U have an official tracker partner, an official noodles partner. Aston Villa had an official home care partner a couple of seasons ago. All these sort of strange hookups, but it's all about the generating the money that goes towards FFP. But if we're going to do ones, we might as well do ones which are global brands and names well known. Monster seem to be associating themselves across various sports, and as I say, there are a lot of the sports which Red Bull are associating themselves with. So it's good company to be in, alongside Mercedes Formula One, for example. Alongside, I can't remember which of the Superbikes teams it is, but all of these sort of deals, they're not just they're not small fry local deals. These are global brands, and this is exactly what he was brought in to do. And it's another case where the better the team does on the pitch, the more these brands are going to want to associate with. Third place in the Premier League. Oh yes, thank you very much. Would like my brand associated with that. And so it's where it's that snowball that Stu was talking about earlier starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger in different ways. It's not just about what's happening on the pitch. It's not just about the team. It's about what's happening off the pitch. It's about the relationships with the fans, but it's also about the relationships with sponsorships. We have gone from a brand under Mike Ashley that was toxic. Nobody wanted to touch me with a 10-foot curried barge pole. Nobody. Because we were seen to be a toxic brand to be associated with. And right now, we're becoming a brand everybody would like to be associated with. And what a turnaround that is.
Yeah, massive turnaround, Steve, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. What you've got with Monster as well is you've got an energy drink there that is very, very popular in the US. And does a lot of sponsorship in the esports field, which is another area that Newcastle will be moving into. They do there's a lot of sponsorship in BMX, and there's a lot of sponsorship in motocross. They sponsored the NASCAR racing team, as Mitch says. They're also involved with Mercedes, so there's a link there with F1. So you can see where they're moving. We're now moving into away from sort of the Lucozade and that type of thing. We're moving into a much bigger brand. We're moving into an international brand, and that's because Newcastle United are now on the international foothold of sport. The name of the club will be all over America. It'll be all over the Far East. It'll be all over the Middle East. And these brands will want to be associated with us, and that's what's going to attract these big brands. And Monster are a big brand when it comes to getting their name out there, and they want to be associated with the best. They want to be associated with a younger crowd. The only problem is that now, when we're out with Johnny Allen, it's not going to be vodka Red Bull anyway. He's going to be just shouting vodka Monster, and that's going to have all sorts of connotations in the bar now. That's what I'm worried about.
100%. Stu, your take on this new partnership? Another one to add to the noon sponsorship that we've got in, and bigger ones coming in.
Yeah, well, we talked about last week about what's pre-match rituals, didn't we? And I mentioned that I drink Jaeger bombs, and it's always Jägermeister with Monster. And Mitch will tell you when I'm flying over from Bahrain to Dubai to see him, I say, make sure you get the cans of Monster in. So I'm getting a bit concerned because I'm proud that I've helped contribute towards the sponsorship because it's quite regular that I'll drink these. But also STC, Saudi Telecommunications, that's who my phone's with. So if they start putting Iron Brew as a sponsor now, then I will get freaked out by all of this. But if it's taken into consideration that it's a global game and success breeds success and it attracts success and people want to be affiliated with a successful brand. And I go to work on a Sunday or Monday, whichever day after the game's been, and I've got people who I didn't even know followed football come and speak to us and tell me about the Newcastle result, wanting to engage in conversation about Newcastle. That's never happened. And I've lived in the Middle East for 10 years. It's never, ever happened. And now everyone wants to just talk about it. So you see companies like Monster, they are globally recognised. And as Mitch pointed out there, they've seen Red Bull become synonymous with successful teams. They're very careful who they picked They didn't pump the money into the top team because that can actually go against you. They want to go against a team on the rise, a team with potential, and all the boxes are ticked by Newcastle United, aren't they? So with the success coming from this, there'll be many more to come, and we will have a wide range of sponsors all wanting to say, I sponsor Newcastle United. And this is why the work's been done behind the scenes with the Dan Ashworths, the Darren Ealeses, etc., getting the right people into the right roles to do the right jobs with the right contacts. And I know we've said it many, many times over the last 2 or 3 years. This is the Saudi way of doing business. They'll pinpoint the right person that they need, and they'll go and get them, and they'll give them as much support as they can. And as long as they deliver, they'll keep getting that support. So already you've seen people coming in and making a change behind the scenes. And when we've talked about recently on the professionals, we're talking about has this mid-season break come at the right time? And you have to start asking, well, yeah, we'll give them the training ground to help. There won't be any players messing around when there's builders going on. Then they'll be in Saudi for a bit. You know what I mean? They can get a lot more done behind the scenes. That's going to enhance the club. But you've got your Monster, you've got your Saudi, you've got your STC, and I promise you now they're only scratching the surface. And there's so much more to come, and there's so many more top brands that want to be associated with the team on the rise. And that's what the marketing's about. And it's again, I keep saying it's fantastic now. We've probably outperformed where we expected to be, not just on the field, but off the field, but they do go hand in hand. If we were lurching mid-table, we might still attract these sponsors, but we wouldn't, maybe the deals might not be worth as much. Now people want to buy potential like we do. We get young kids, sponsors want to do that as well. There'll be a little bit more because of the potential to see the long-term benefit of being associated with us.
Yeah, Keith, great, isn't it? Just to constantly switch on, the internet or TV on, or pick up a paper and just see this positivity coming from within the club, and more opportunities, of course, and more money coming in, and it helps with the financial fair play as well.
It's hard to swallow when you think Newcastle being sponsored by a Coca-Cola company, and our friends down the road have got Panda Blue Fruity Pop. You know what I mean? Like it's hardly Coca-Cola versus Panda. I just don't know where the difference is in these clubs, but it's incredible, and it's just such a wise market move to make the first one to be a global brand. Like the lads have pointed out, Coca-Cola brand doesn't come any bigger in terms of marketing. Coca-Cola is one of the biggest marketing brands in the world, and to put one of their brands on, but it's just the nature of the product as well. I mean, it's energy drink, and if you were a marketing director of Monster and you were looking at sporting venues, you say, well, let's look at football. Who's the most high energetic team in the Premier League at the moment? Who's the team that plays the highest press, the highest energy? Who plays in people's faces? Who looks as though they've got energy drinks inside them? And it's even our competitors are saying that if you listen to Carragher and people like Gary Neville, even they're saying Man United used to press people, but they're not. And people are saying that Chelsea's own backers were saying, when Havertz had that trouble with Jan Bernat at the weekend, he said, why do you do it? The Chelsea people said, why do you not do it during the 90 minutes? Why is he not in the face during the 90 minutes? Because Newcastle are in the place. And the other thing is, every sub we bring on, like Mitch said at the start, is they all know the type. They all know the script. It's as though like Mitch goes and hands all the scripts out, every play goes on. So when a sub comes on, he knows exactly what's expected of him. And it's all high press, it's all energy, and it's run your balls off. So to get a drink that's supposed to make you do that is so appropriate. And I think by the summer of next year, I think you'll see probably 10 sponsors will have been signed up. By summer, August 22, you'll have 10 deals of sorts. And it'd be all kinds of deals. But if you think you've got the ground, you've got the shirt, you've got the sleeve, you've got the drinks, and it just goes on and on and on. There'll be actually a shirt manufacturer, there'll be a boot manufacturer, and it'll just go on and on from there. And if the Saudi are as sharp as I'm sure they are, they'll probably bring their brands in, their big brands in later. If they can bring 3 or 4 household name brands in, it smashes the FFP out the park, because it's telling you that these companies who are the biggest in the world want to associate with this brand. And that's why it's harder to put a price on. It's harder for them when they're monitoring our deals to say what people will and won't pay. It was funny today because Stu Penman and myself got tagged on a Monster thing, and it was by, of all people, Mark Byers, and he tagged me, Stu Penman, and Miguel Delaney in. And I thought, what the hell is this? And I wasn't wise to what was going on. And I opened this up and he said, is this your mother? To Miguel, asking if she was the woman in the advert. And he was a woman in America with a can of Monster. And she was saying it was Satan's drink. And when you watch the video, it's incredible. She says, you've all heard of MILFs. And he turned the can over on the back and had the word MILF written on it. And it was an article. It was like an American woman, housewife kind of woman, like lobbying that this is from the devil. And I was just thinking, oh my God. And then when I saw the sponsors, I thought, oh, here we go again. You know what I mean? He's the next campaign. We can't even have a drink of pop without getting told it's off the devil. But such a simple.
I want to add something when Keith's done. I was going to say, Keith, did Miguel reply, because he blocked me for saying Ben Jacobs does research, so I don't know if he replied to the tweet or not. But you give me a really good marketing idea for Monster, and it's all about gimmicks, isn't it? And the M could stand for Mickey, couldn't it? You know, like McDonald's.
Can you imagine him full of bloody Monster, man? Jesus.
Oh no, but I'm trying to be serious for this change. You see, McDonald's do limited edition stuff, so they could do a limited edition Mickey and have it a black and white can.
Aye.
That would sell out, wouldn't it? Like, not just in Newcastle, but globally. You know, we don't buy cans and keep a hold of it. And it's just little things like that these companies will do to justify why they've spent the money into Newcastle United. So it's fantastic, isn't it? Keep it going.
You've got to go and have a look at that post, because what Mark found is this woman, apparently if you put an O, the O's got like a cross through it. But apparently only Satan turns the cross upside down. But on the can, it's the right way up. Then the woman gets home, she drinks it, and the cross goes upside down. And she says, it's the devil's drink. And I thought, get in, we've got it.
Gosh, like a very, shall we say, a very Christian woman who, the lines on the Monster, they don't touch. So it's actually 3 lanes, wasn't it? And it wasn't an M, it was 3 lanes. And in Hebrew, that meant 6, the number 6. So Monster actually meant 666. And it was the devil's drink. And talking about conspiracy theories, but it was actually funny to watch, but she was genuinely serious, wasn't she, Keith?
I don't know. Oh, she was deadly serious. If you watch it, it's a real good watch. But the thing that staggers me is our fan base, how a bloke in America, a good lad like Mark Byers, gets hold of that video, posts it as quick as the sponsorship's got up, and then tags me, Stuart, and Miguel Delaney. And I don't know if Miguel blocked him, because I didn't laugh at it. I just kept a straight face.
The joys of social media. Obviously, we have no football. We touched on it at the start of the show. No Premier League football, replaced by the World Cup. Are you excited for the World Cup, Mitch? Are you going to be going out and watching the games?
I'm going to be going out and watching. It's going to be chaos over here, because there's a lot of people using Dubai as a stopping off point for getting into Qatar, and they've got sort of effectively shuttle flights on the go. Everywhere seems to be putting the price of beers up rather significantly, cashing in on the monetary side of it all. I'm honestly not that excited for it as I normally would be for a World Cup. But I know fine well I'll be in it the minute the first England game kicks off. I'll be invested in it. I say this every tournament, and no, I'm not really that bothered. And then I'll be there watching every game, getting invested in it. So I might as well give into that, and even more so because potentially there's 3 Newcastle players involved that I'd love to see do well. The England team, and then obviously we've got other players at the World Cup that I would also love to see do well. And nice to talk about Newcastle United and World Cups and international players in the same sentences. But I'm still struggling to get my head around the World Cup with the Christmas decorations. I'm still struggling to get my head around the whole way it's being done. I've just watched the FIFA documentary on Netflix, and it baffles us even further how so many things got done, and nobody thought for a moment to try and ask the right questions at the right time. But that is what it is. It's past and gone. It's here. I don't think Doa's prepared for it. I was talking to someone who runs the Welsh supporters club out here, and they've got people coming into Dubai and then putting flights on to Qatar for the Welsh games. And it sounds like it's going to be chaos. Getting everybody organised sounds like chaos. Looking at them changing their minds on where they want to put the beer stands for the fan parks at the last minute, and everything's being shunted around. There has a huge degree of disaster written all over it, unfortunately. Not impressed with the input from some of the advice given to fans by, you know, the Home Office and things like that. You know, if you're part of the LBGQT plus community, can you go there and just be a little bit less gay? You know, what the hell is that all about? It's ridiculous. You know, there's so many potential bear traps there. I want it to go well, because the region should benefit from it as a whole. But do I think they're ready to do it? Certainly nowhere near as ready as they would tell you they are.
Steve, I mean, we've got an interest. We've got 3 players out there. We've got Bruno in the Brazil squad as well. So there's a bit to look forward to, but it just doesn't feel right, does it?
You know what? You say it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right simply because it's December and November, and we've had to sacrifice our season in England, in Europe, to accommodate this. Something that should never have happened. Something that we've got to go back to, you know, at least 10 years to understand how it happened. You know, the corrupt way that FIFA exists. But FIFA's always been corrupt. It's been corrupt since the 1970s. You know, you go right the way back to Havelange and the way that he organized FIFA. You know, I mean, we're talking about a guy who was a gun runner, you know, and he ended up running FIFA, and he treated it as a fiefdom. He organized. I mean, if you read how the French got the '98 World Cup, for example, and you think that what happened with Russia and then what's happened in 2018, and that's what happened with Qatar. It happened way back, right in the 90s when the French got it, and that was part of a handover from Havelange through to Blatter. It's always been a corrupt system, always will be. There's nothing you can do about it because it's one of these. We talk about the issue that we have as fans with ticketing. And deciding on what best ticketing system. The problem you've got with FIFA is that you've got something like 268 delegates, all of whom have a single vote, but all of whom collectively get together and break themselves off into little groups. So and then drop each other in the clots continuously. The gifts that get handed over, the whole nature is just assigned as one big corrupt backhander for if you get onto the committee. From my mind, I'm concentrating on the football. I'm sticking to the you know, it's a football tournament. It could be a really, really successful football tournament for England. If they can get their act together. The fact that they've had 6 bad games, probably 6 bad results or poor results. You're right. We've got 3 Newcastle players in the England squad. We've got 1 in the Swiss squad. We've got 1 in the Brazilian squad. So that gives us an added dimension to watch. I'm looking forward to games. I just the idea that football's on the TV and there's something to watch, and something to get your teeth around. And I'm sure next week we'll be talking about the games and the first round, because we'll be in the middle of the first round, and we'll be. Where attitude might be slightly different, as Mitch says, I'll be into it, and I certainly will. I haven't bought my Panini sticker of the book though. I couldn't be arsed for that this time round.
Stu, for me, I will be watching it, and you know, you will get into it. I guess it depends how well England play, but I mean, similar for you. You're across, you're crossing a different country. Is it? Would you have ever considered going to this World Cup? Considering where it's at.
Well, I've got to ask you, what's the Football World Cup? I support Scotland.
Well, true, true. But it's an interesting one, isn't it? And it's just the time of year does feel all wrong. But I guess when the first ball's kicked, we'll all get into it.
Yeah, just revive a word or that's been spouted on this channel many, many times in the past. The geopolitics of the region is a flight from Bahrain to Qatar is 20 minutes. But because Bahrain don't still want to be friends with Qatar, even though they pretend to be friends, there's no flights. So if I wanted to go, I would have to get a flight to Dubai, then a flight into Qatar. So I've got to fly back over myself to get there, or a flight to Oman, or a flight to Kuwait, or a flight to Saudi to get what literally is a 20-minute flight. So if Scotland had got there, as you know, I've got connections. I would have been there. I was promised tickets. Had Scotland qualified, I would have went. And when you start hearing things, I want it to be a success, but I think for many different reasons, there's a lot of people waiting for something to go wrong and jump on it and make it sound far worse than what it is. Whether it's about human rights, whether it's about equal rights, whether it's about the time of year, it's a decision, and it's not often I agree with Jurgen Klopp. But I thought he was bang on last week when he was asked about it. He says, we've known for years it's happened. Why is everyone now just kicking up a fuss? Why wasn't these questions asked at the time? So if you ask any league manager, they'll think, no, our season shouldn't be disrupted. But they all knew about it. They've all had to. It's not just different for Newcastle, it's different for every team. But sometimes change can be good, and I'm with Mitch on this. It could actually portray the region in a much better light than what a lot of people anticipate or expect it to be. And even when we come back, you still get people, but you can't drink there. I'm like, hello, do you know me and him? What do you mean you can't drink there? So you start thinking, right, this is the perception that's portrayed. And whether it's ignorance or lack of education or just genuinely not knowing, there's certain people that will want it to fail, but I hope it's a success. I really do hope it's a success for the region, and that it's well managed, because I think in the region here that we're living in the GCC, they do run things a lot better than what are apparently more advanced countries. Like the government systems and stuff like that. So they'll have protocols that are in place, and it might not suit everyone. And we can talk about the religious beliefs. We can talk about not just the religious beliefs, but the way of the land and the nation's laws. But I won't get sick of repeating this, but if you go there and you're lucky enough to go there and you've got the money to go there, because it's not cheap, if you're able to get there and you adhere to the rules and regulations, you'll have a fantastic time. But I've always said from day one that Qatar was too small to host a World Cup. It really, really was. And I hope they pull it off. But I just know there's people waiting to knock it down. So I'll watch the games when they're on, but as I don't have a team to support, it's not like I've got the World Cup bug for it, as we had when we were younger. So, when I was younger, Scotland did used to qualify. So, if I'm watching the games, it'll just be like I'm watching a game of football, and I'll try and look out for the young Aussies lad that was signed, and obviously I'll watch Bruno's games. And England's on Monday, and it's 4:00 kickoff my time, and I'm at work, and I could finish early. I won't. I'll probably just put it on the iPad and just glance at it. But the bigger games, I think, once you get through the group games and it becomes more knockout, then I think I'll be watching more games then.
Okay, Keith, England fan, looking forward to it.
It's hard going to the end, isn't it? And all them four said all that, all them three said all that good stuff, and you think, well, what can I say? I agree with Mitch. First of all, I'm probably the same milk swing as he is. Like, I'm not buzzing about it. But when they was talking, I was thinking, I feel like that, but I wonder why. And I think the reason why is because Newcastle's third, and because so much momentum is built up. And like I got to the point where, you know, like I was waiting for the next game and waiting for, you know, where we're meeting on Saturday. So that I think people's hit it on the head. Liam Kennedy did something that the online said it couldn't have come at a better time, because we maybe are stretched and maybe are pressed, and it gives us a chance to get Isaac and you know, like 2 or 3 players, even the SM, to look fully fit. So a chance to get them fit, but it also gives a chance to bring some players in January. So I think all that's exciting from Newcastle's point of view. But when Newcastle finished third and they knocked the season off, none of you have mentioned, but you know this thing where you pick the teams out, the Super Six.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's a bloke's gone second in the league, and you've never mentioned him. I'm second in the league. Me.
Oh right.
I've got a second, and then I thought, oh, champion. I thought the good thing is we'll have like 6 weeks off, and then I'll refresh and have a go for the back half of the season, because I missed 2 games and I forgot to fill them in, and then I thought it was off, and then I looked, and would you believe you've got to fill them out on Monday for the internationals? How the hell can you decide what the score's going to be for England versus Iran? And how am I going to know whether Mexico and Poland's going to do? I haven't got a clue. You know, in a game like that, like Mexico versus Poland, and you're thinking, jeez, there's no form.
You get the excuses in early here, Rob.
There's no
Sounds
form.
like you've done it.
But I was surprised. I didn't think that would continue through the World Cup. So it looks like I'm going to quickly. I've climbed up the table at the second. I think I'll be plummeting like a rock. But as far as this goes, I think like Neil, I'll get excitement. And as Stuart Stevens said, as a Scotland fan, he's going to, when games become more relevant, the bigger games. And I think when Newcastle players are playing, and I am, you know, interested. I don't think the young Kual will get on much for Australia, but when he comes on, you know what I mean, he just seems he's got a license to thrill. So I'm looking forward to that. I think Stuart said a great point, and he said, you know, there's a lot of people waiting for things to go wrong. I think it is. I think the whole nature of the bid, where people thought it shouldn't be won, I think it is one of them things that people, there's a huge skepticism waiting to pounce, and I think that's the way Stuart's touched on. But for me, you know, it's not a World Cup I would like to, you know, I would overly like to go to, because I didn't know until last week that if you go there, most of the hospitality's in Dubai, and then if you go into Qatar, you're sort of in and out for the game, and most of the people going over there staying in different countries. So I was really shocked to learn that if you want the,
like Stu said, it's so small. Qatar never had the capacities.
Yeah, so that shocked us, because I thought you'd be going to Qatar and like seeing some of Qatar. The one thing I would say from talking to a couple of people who's more educated on this than me is, if you do go, I wouldn't take your mobile phone. Absolutely not. And they're saying that the way they check your tickets and they check your locate, they're going to have a locator on you all the time to know where you're at, and they can access your phone, send messages from you. They're at the software that's going on your phone. Well, I was talking to 2 IT lads and said I wouldn't go. You know, I'd take an ordinary cheap phone with a pay-as-you-go on it. You know, just so you can work around. But I think, you know, a lot of the, like, would you want all your data mixed with that? But they're saying you sign hellish things over to go there. So all this surprises me. I didn't think in 2022 that you would have this kind of, I don't know, infiltration where you could just log your mobile.
Phenomenal cost as well, Keith. I can give you an example of somebody that Steve and I both know, who's an ex-Canadian international footballer, and his wife's from Australia. And so they wanted to go and see all the Canadian games and all the Australian games. He's bought tickets for all the Canadian games, all the Australian games for him, his wife, and their 2 kids, and all the accommodation. He spent $15,000.
Oh my God!
Doing that. $15,000. Yeah.
Jeez.
And that just blew me away when he told us how big the bill was. Yeah. I knew it wouldn't be cheap, but and he's not He's not picked the most expensive hotels. He's taken what he could get
In Qatar.
in Qatar. Yeah.
That was the bit that surprised me.
And because he's got connections, he was able to get some of the last places that were available in hotels in Qatar.
Yeah.
But still, if you look at the fan parks they're building and the fan accommodation, which are basically sheds with ACs on, they don't look particularly appetizing to me. I don't think I'd like to stay.
Like off-wheelers in pet, isn't it?
Absolutely, mate. It's spot on. You couldn't be more right. And a lot of these things are begging for trouble.
Yeah.
And as Stu rightly says, a lot of people are wanting it to fail. Stu and I probably feel very similarly in that for the region, it would be fantastic if it just was an amazing showcase of what this region can do.
Yeah. Well, maybe if that was the case, they would have done it in Qatar. If you're going to say what can the region do, maybe Dubai would have been a more suitable place to do it.
Yeah, but
hotel-wise, they could house it better.
Yeah, and unfortunately, from 2014 until now, they weren't talking to each other, so that completely blew that out the window. I mean, the cheapest ticket for an England game is 179 quid, and that's the lowest price you can get, and that's sort of like, you know, right up in the gods in all of those grounds, and the grounds look fantastic, but £179 just for a match day ticket, and then obviously you've got to get in. You've got to get back out, you know, your flights. And so you can understand where our friend is talking when he'll have got, you know, 2-3 kids, his wife, himself, you know, straight away there's £1,000 for a game, you know, £200 a ticket. And then he's going to 6 games, you know, so there's that. And then you add in the hotels and the flights on top, and you can see how it very, very quickly tots up.
What would you pay for a pint, Neil, if you were over there? Like you're saying, Dubai's stuck it up a bit. So if you were going to main part of Dubai, the bars where fans would get drawn to, I'm not talking about your bars, probably other bars, and they get what could they pay up to for a pint?
40,
with exchange rate now.
How much?
Aye.
How much?
You're talking about 12 quid a pint, Keith, I think, with the exchange rate the way it is. Because they'll put it up to 60, won't they? 60 dirhams, so it'll be about 12 quid a pint.
Yeah, there are rumours that some of the prices in Doha were going to be up to potentially £55 a pint. You know that, and this is the sort of stories that are starting to filter out, and this is sort of like, you know, the doom scenario that various people in the press are putting out at the moment.
I was speaking to a lad who lives in Doha, and the brunch he normally goes to, he pays the equivalent of 250 dirhams, whatever that is in pounds.
It used to be 50 quid, it's about 60 quid now.
Aye, for all you can drink. And during the World Cup, that same brunch has gone up to 1,800 dirhams.
Yeah. Wow.
Aye.
How much is that, Stu?
About 500 quid.
Yeah.
God.
Even the fan zones in Dubai that have been set up in Dubai, you're talking 70 quid to get in. You know, and then there's so many drinks vouchers given for that. But you're talking 70 quid to get into a fan zone, and it's be a fan zone with potentially, you know, 300, 400, 500 people, if not more. One or two of the fan zones are into the thousands in terms of the numbers that they're trying to squeeze in. It's
you fear like, you know, football violence and all that thing with alcohol, but I'm sitting there complaining about 12 quid. When I went to Spurs, I got the dearest round on the 4 days, £23 a pint. So I was in London. So you know, we only had the one, and we were into it. We got the drink before the bill came, like before, and we looked like it was advertised, but we just what the hell? And you know, like it's like one of them rounds you think once a lifetime, but I think when you get stuck so many miles away from home, you're 4,000 miles away from your home, and the security isn't what you're used to with police, and then you've got this accommodation which Neil and Stu were talking about, and then you're talking about, you know, most people flying out of Qatar into places like Dubai, which we've probably all been to on holiday and we're comfortable with, or Abu Dhabi or whatever, but I don't know. It just sounds more like a scary experience. Some people has never been.
You're also going to have some people. I'm speaking to some people who are coming and going that have got tickets to various games, and some of them are flying in on the lunchtime of one day, but their flight back isn't until 5 a.m. the next morning. They haven't got accommodation, so they've got to find somewhere to be overnight, or drinking as late as possible before they then get to the airport. And it just all sounds
And will they let them on the flight?
Potentially, well, if they're pie, they probably wouldn't.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I was going to say there's all sorts of other restrictions or situations put in place. You've got to have a specific card to be able to get into the country. You've got to have a hire card, which is you can't get until you get a match day ticket. That card then allows you to jump back and forward. It's kind of an electronic visa, if you like. But they're stamping down on that. What they've also stamped down on, believe it or not, is driving to Qatar. I think that if you take a private car and you say, "Oh, well, we'll drive," and it's like a 6-hour or an 8-hour drive.
I'll show you a match ticket on the border.
Well, not only that, but I think they're charging you something.
You've got to park at the border, mate.
Yeah. You got to leave the car at the border. You got to get another vehicle, but they're charging you £1,500 to cross the border. It's these little idiosyncrasies that have cropped up. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think violence and crowd trouble and that sort of thing is the sort of thing that's going to be the main concern. I think it's crowd control. Those are areas that they're not familiar with. They're not familiar with how people react in crowds. How people interact. I think they've got Turkish police that are going to be there. They've got Italian riot police, Spanish riot police. You're thinking to yourself, God, could they have gone round and found worse riot police to look after football fans than get?
Steve, that's my biggest concern. Seriously, it's not even. I think most people will go there and be respectful, but all the games are played within door. They're all in a close proximity of each other, and it's a passionate, emotional game. And when you get to the later rounds, you could have like a Germany versus England, or a Spain versus Italy, or something like that. Emotions it's a tinderbox waiting to happen, and that's my biggest concern, because there's no way of policing it. It's not like if it was there's a game in London, there's a game in Manchester. They're all in the same city. They're all very, very, very close together. It's like hosting it in Newcastle. All the stadiums are, I think, is about 6 miles away from each other or something. So you can't not have fans mixing. It's impossible not to have them mixing. So there's so much hope that people are going to actually behave. Well,
the police do with the police do with the beer, £12 a pint. Nobody drunk.
You get used to it. That's the problem.
All right, lads, we've got about 15 minutes left, so it's time to check how Keith's vocal cords are and laughter cords are. Thought we might struggle for these this week. We didn't. Albert, new recruits for Hastings Kennel. Good homes required. Where he gets these from, I really do not know. Steve, that's unbelievable. So that's his dog montage anyway.
Well, that does look like our dog a little bit, but a lot smaller.
No, but it's supposed to look like you, Steve, not like your dog.
But
Tom Dixon's been in again in his Reface app. He must be bored this week, giving Steve just a collection of hairstyles.
On drugs, I think.
He's moved on from women and that, and he's got his boy George there on the bottom left. I'm not sure who all of these people are, but thank you for that, Tom. That's what it is. Mr. Bruce, I found Steve Hasty.
That's an old one. That's an old one. We've seen that one.
This one, Stephen Moore says Steve Hasty is a mop. This one, he's doing a bit of movement on the Amazon Black Friday advert. This is just a collection of Steve Hasty, says Andrew.
No, that's Coronation Street. It's not me. This has turned into wonky donkey.
The one in the middle look like it.
Steve Hasty watching the World Cup. This one is this is Jimmy on Facebook's dog when looking like he's on. He says
Oh, must see all the little dogs come on.
the dog sits and watches the TV like that when looking like he comes on.
Absolutely.
So
Even the dog thinks
Is it not your laugh
Oh,
that it can only be heard by certain animals?
exactly. Hasty taking a stand, rude and disrespectful. That's your last one from Albert is for this week. Or I might have, oh no, there may be another one. There's one. Hasty and Hasty. And Albert. Looks like Hasty's having one hell of a wait at the barbers.
Yeah, well, that's true.
This one, George got on your defence. Hasty on his way to the food bank. George Mitchell replied, "Not right and not fair. I definitely know Steve would not ride a green scooter. Never, not never."
But he's riding a red one or a blue one, but not a green one.
He
Definitely
didn't
not
deny. I love the fact that George didn't deny that was actually a lookalike of you, though. Yorkie says, "I see Snapchat are still doing Steve Hasty filters. I hope he's on a commission."
What?
And this one, lookalike, he has Keith been snorting Viagra? It says. Very strange. The guy from Up and George Mitchell. And this one from Rita Oxley, Trossard and Robbie Williams. That's a good one, isn't it?
Now this is what it's about. This isn't one.
I agree, Steve.
Likey.
How are you, mate? That's brilliant, that.
Sleepy Mitch from the professional show, because he'd had a good session and we got him on a late night one on Sunday and he was a bit tired, bless him. But thanks for that one. Eddie Howe showing the world just how really good he is, says Lee. Of course. Sorry, I see Steve Wraith in the corner, but where is Mitch and Hasty? Anyone with a bald head is game. Is me or Keith, sadly, but that wasn't me. I wasn't in the ground that early. This one, lookalike from Rita, Hasty getting ready to go out. And this lookalike as well. I'm not sure why anybody would dress the dog up like that. I really don't. Last couple, lookalike for Friday, St. Mirren striker Jonah Ayunga and our very own Joe Linton.
No, that is good. That is good.
And this one, lookalike a young John Joe Shelby in the cap carrying a guy for bonfire night. That is the winner this week. That was brilliant. That really good spot. If you've got a lookalike, send them to me, send them to the lads, and we will get them featured on the show. But as always, thanks for sending them in, and thanks for all the ones to Steve Hasty to keep Keith laughing away on a Friday night. Thanks very much. Okay, 7-8 minutes left. Let's go around the board and start with Keith, because he's always last, so we'll give him the opportunity to go first on this. Second half of the season, Keith, where do you see Newcastle United finishing? And do you see them winning that elusive trophy this year?
I think they'll definitely win a cup. I'm not going to say which one this stage. But where do I think they'll finish?
Second and a cup. Wow. Stu, same question to you.
Well, like Keith said, we'd finish fifth at the start of the season. I'd like to aim a bit higher now. And I can see us finishing third. I think Liverpool will come on with a fair rattle and finish second. And we'll finish above Arsenal and we'll finish above the rest of them. If we're going to win a cup, the League Cup, I don't think we'll have a better chance to win it. The way the teams have been knocked out, the cards have fell in place for us. So draw dependent. But even then, I think looking at it now, we're second favourites for a tournament in the last 16. It's got to be about 25 years since we've been in that sort of position. Will we win it? I don't want to jinx it by saying yes, but I definitely see us getting to Wembley this season.
Okay, Steve.
I'm similar in terms of Wembley. I think this team has something about it that can get us to a Wembley final. The League Cup's probably, or the Carabao Cup as it's called, another one of those fizzy drinks. That's probably the one that we're looking at the moment. I've got to say, I mean, a couple of weeks ago we debated whether or not this team was better than the Entertainers, which one was better. After Saturday, I turned a little bit and I thought, you know what, this team has something about it. The game reminded me of the Man United game when we got beat 1-0. Only on this game, we won 1-0. We played very, very well and we got what deserved. And after the goal, that last 15 minutes that we put in, plus the ridiculous 7 minutes of extra time, for me, showed the backbone that this team has, the strength that it has mentally and physically, and how they've all bought in. So I'm now on the cusp, and I think this team could potentially go all the way. The gap's pretty big, and I think realistically, we're sitting at top 4, possibly top 3.
Mitch, lots of positivity. Lots of people feel we're going to get to Wembley and win something and finish high in the league. What's your thoughts?
With regards to the league, I've said this before. Under Ashley, we know what would have happened. If we fluked our way to this position, he would make a few sales, consolidate the position, say, no, we're not going to get relegated that too big. These owners see an opportunity. And I think let's see what this unusual January window brings. But it's an opportunity to put more into the mix. And if we keep the run of form going that we've shown over the calendar year, we now probably would all feel a little bit disappointed if we didn't finish in the top 5, given what we've put in. And I think that, I think top 4 is very, very doable from this position. Our gap to 7th is something like 9 points, is it? Is it 9 or 7 points? Can't remember what it is exactly, but it's
9.
Significant for this time of year.
Yeah.
And I think we've never had a better opportunity to really accelerate and kick on, and I think that's what we will do. And with regards to cups, Stu's nailed it, the way the League Cups draws fallen, we will never have a better chance. We will never have a better opportunity to the very least, get ourselves into a Wembley final. And if we get there, we've got a puncher's chance of it. It's as simple as that. We've got nothing to fear. Nobody to fear. Who have we got to fear? We've already taken them all on and given them a bloody nose. So, and the mentality is such that I think if you put them on the spot, they will deliver.
Yeah, I think the same, lads. I've got to be honest. I think, we've done so well. I can really see Newcastle finishing in the top 4. I think they'll finish in the Champions League places, and I'm going to go for them to win the Carabao Cup. I think they will win the Carabao Cup. I think the stars all seem to be aligning for us on that. So, yeah, God, who would have thought a year later, after this takeover, we'd all be sitting here discussing that kind of finish. But we need to pick up where we've left off. That's for certain. Elliot Slesser. I used to have a job collecting leaves. I was raking it in. Thanks, Elliot. Keep them coming. I missed this as well in Tweet of the Week. The year is 2072, and Harry Kane is still playing for Spurs and still trophyless. And the last couple of weeks, honestly, I don't know where my head's been at. I've definitely, I keep missing Julie's favourite part of the show. So just cramming it in before we finish. No, I'm not, Elliot. Another one blocked. Unbelievable. I know.
That's because you never laughed at his jokes.
Probably. I will continue next week with the Food Bank t-shirt because this is not live. So you've got another week to bid on it. Go at Steve Wraith and bid for the St. Peter Beardsley t-shirt. Don't forget your clues were the 16th of October, 1929 and 1958, 1962. We'll have 2 more clues to come the next time we do a live. But hope you enjoyed it. We managed to get it in. Thanks to Mitch, to Steve, to Stu and to Keith for jumping on tonight. And giving you your fix of the 3 Amigos for Friday. Have a good weekend, lads. Take care.
Cheers, everyone. Enjoy.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, starting with Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks to Darren Baldwin Funerals. You can find them at 304 Old Durham Road on Gateshead. Telephone 0191 478 273 or email Darren at darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk or the website darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk. Thanks to Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD hemp and cannabinoid specialists. Their website is thegohd.com. And thanks to 3 Property Investments, who specialise in sourcing investment properties for their clients who are looking to invest in the Northeast. They offer a full in-house service from sourcing the deals to managing the properties for you. They've done over 100 plus deals in the past 12 months for clients all over the UK. Give the guys a follow on Instagram, matty.patter_northeast property and phil.reed_northeast property, or email phil@3property.co.uk should you be interested in getting a good property deal. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's sauces, which are handmade in Cumbria. You can order them by going to the website, mrvickys.co.uk, or by calling 01768 210 102. Thanks to the guys at Blowhole Brewery. You can find them at blowholebrewery.co.uk. Got a vast range of beers. They're a new brewery company, and their cans are suitably addressed, like the Geordie Juice here, in the strips of Newcastle United from the 90s. Big thank you to Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things, and to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and the guys who run our website. If you want to subscribe, then hit the subscription button. If you want to hit the likes, then hit the thumb up, and please share to your social media. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes and Spotify, and the rest goes up 24 hours after the show has finished. If you want to join, well, you can click join underneath the video and become a member for a small fee. If you want to pay the £25 fee and get a cup, a pen, a scarf, a membership card, and entry into the monthly draw, then go to the website, nufcmatters.com, and click membership, or use your smartphone on the QR code, which will take you straight there. We also give you a free car sticker. If you're a subscriber, simply email john@nufcmatters.com to claim your free car window sticker today. We also support the food bank on here. NUFC fans, foodbank.co.uk is where you can find the matchday bucket and make a virtual donation 365 days of the year. We still do a lot of events in and around the region. If you want to see Super Mac, pre-match and after-match, you can go to the Dog and Parrot in Newcastle and hear Malcolm give his views on the game and listen to what he has to say about his career as well. Always a great afternoon. Kids are welcome. Good food, good beer. And get yourself into Pumphrey's. You can always see John Anderson and John Gibson in there pre-match on the Cloth Market in Newcastle. A couple of events coming up in 2023, an evening with Peter Beardsley, Friday the 10th of February at St. Dom's Catholic Club. You can get the tickets direct from the venue. And Peter Beardsley is also at the Tyneside Irish Centre on Friday, February the 17th. Tickets available from Woucher for that one. Get yourself on the Woucher, make a cracking Christmas present for any Newcastle fan. Also, an evening with Rob Lee, Lee Clark and John Beresford, Friday the 2nd of June, 2023 at the Grand Hotel in Gosforth. Tickets for that are available from www.heelandtour.uk/events. And if you fancy a Christmas jumper, get the Bruno Christmas jumper from NUFCmatters.com.